You might have seen that there's a new tartan for the Witches of Scotland, but what does that actually mean? The tartan was commissioned and registered by Witches of Scotland, whom you might know better in podcast form. They're dedicated to finding justice for those accused during the nearly 2 centuries of witch trials in Scotland. From the 16th to the 18th centuries, between 4,000 to 6,000 people were tried for witchcraft in Scotland. Upwards of 2,000 were executed, and over 80% of them were women, including Geillis Duncan, which is a name that you might recognize from the Outlander series. Yet, despite these numbers, these witch trials are far less well known than the likes of the Salem witch trials, which saw around 20 executions. That's only 10% of the number executed in Scotland. Now, the design for the tartan is very intentional. The 1563 Witchcraft Act lasted until it was repealed in 1736, and the thread count incorporates these dates. The black and grey represent the dark times and the ashes of those burnt, while the red and pink represent the past and present colours used to bind legal papers. And you can read the whole description on the Scottish Register of Tartans website. Now, the Witches of Scotland intend this tartan to act as a living memorial for the trials, because their 3 main goals are to ensure a pardon, an apology, and memorials are established, but the Scottish government has not issued a pardon. Then First Minister Nicola Sturgeon offered an official apology for those accused on International Women's Day in 2022, but Witches of Scotland are continuing to push for an official pardon. So while this tartan doesn't mean that the accused have gotten one yet, it does mean that their stories are starting to become more widely known, and ultimately it's a step in the right direction for justice for Scotland's witches. And if you're in Edinburgh, there's no real physical memorial for the Scottish witch trials, but you can take a tour of the city that reveals some of the forgotten stories of the men and women who lost their lives or their livelihoods during this time while standing in the very places that it actually happened.